Patrick Peterson joins us on the Arizona Sports Line to talk about a resounding Cardinals victory in Dallas last night. Patrick, thank you for the time. How's it going?
I'm doing great, man. What a great game that was, and big-time performance to, get back on track.
Yeah, let's just start there. Big picture. When you as a team, you're 2-5. You're going into the bye, but all the games were close. You're coming out of the bye. All of a sudden, you get a win on the road on Monday Night Football. Setting aside what it does or doesn't do for you in the standings, how about just team morale to go out there and win a game so definitively like that?
Yeah, that was a big-time team win, in all three phases. Offense came out, and really set the tone, all day. Defense did a great job of really taking away the deep shot, smothering the run early on, putting Dallas behind the chains. And, obviously, you don't want that have a block punt for a touchdown. But other than that, I thought the special teams did a good job of bouncing back and, keeping Dallas return men in check.
Yeah, Pat P., did Jacoby Brissett look like the new starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals for you?
I mean, for me, he did, and coaches, he seemed like he already made the decision, to go back to Kyler. I just think, it's going to be a tough decision for him to honestly make if you look at the numbers, since Jacoby has been in there as a starting quarterback. I believe he has almost, 7+ yards, 7 touchdowns. I want to say his completion rate is like 71% or something like that. So, that's efficient football, so it's going to be really, really, really important if he is going with Kyler Murray, that he can have this same type of performance and being able to move the ball, up and down the field like Jacoby Brissett was, because, like, to me, looking at the offense, it just looks like it's more in sync because obviously you don't see, none of the broken plays. You know what I mean? So the routes in the back end have an opportunity to develop. Jacoby does a great job of going through his progressions to find, that open receiver if that person's not there.
Pat P., I have to ask you this. What kind of damage do you think you could possibly do to the locker room if you made that move, knowing how well Jacoby has played?
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Coach got it's a tough decision for him because, the team is in a unique situation,
right.
coming off, 5 games, losing close games. You've been in all of them. But like I said, the offense fluidity looks totally different when he is the quarterback. Now, let's not make no mistake about it. When Kyler Murray is in there, he's super dynamic. We know what he can do with his legs, extending plays and things like that. But like for me, you only can play broken play football for so long. So once he find a way to stay in the pocket a little bit longer, and let his receivers, get open later throughout the route, and after his first progression, you'll see the offense being able to look like that.
We're talking to Patrick Peterson. Patrick, with what you've seen from Marvin Harrison Jr. this season, especially since the second half of that Seahawks game, how much of that, in your mind, is because of the quarterback play, or how much of it is just Marv naturally evolving and he kind of hit a low point in that San Francisco game and seems to be bouncing back?
It's very interesting because, like, when you see, Kyler in there and the Marvin Harrison connection, it just seemed like they have, like, just the go route or the seven cut, as far as available for them two as a connection. Then you see Jacoby get in there. You see Marvin running deep outs, deep comebacks, overs, still running his go routes, posts, slants. It just seemed like it was a little bit more in his arsenal as a receiver and a route runner when Jacoby Brissett was in there. So now Kyler's going to have to, I know he was on the sideline, sit back and see how Jacoby was getting, Marvin involved in the game, other than throwing him just a fade ball, because receivers want to be able to run routes and just, be able to catch the ball a little bit easier versus a 50-50 ball every time. You know what I mean? So
that,
Kyler's gonna have to do. Kyler's gonna have to, find a way, like I said, to stay in that pocket and have Marvin run, some more routes to where they can have a better connection.
Yeah. Who was the best player on the defensive side of the ball for the Cardinals?
Man.
I got you, Pappy. That was a tough one, man.
That was, but it looked like it was going to be Big Walt. I tell you that.
Yeah, man. That kid's a baller.
His first game, no doubt about it. The way he came in, he made his presence felt. From the first moment he was in that ball game. Just stopping the run, had a couple tackles for loss, having a sack. So he played a big role in that defensive of performance. But I can't go without saying Buddha. Buddha's the guy. He's the wild card for that defense. He's all over the place. He's stripping guys. He's blitzing. He's in the post. So offenses always have to know what number 3 is.
We're talking to Patrick Peterson. Patrick, to have a defensive performance like that on that stage on Monday Night Football against the Dallas offense that has been great this season. The Cardinals defense has played well all season, but it's just, it wasn't resulting in wins. What does that do just for that whole group? Because you mentioned Buddha, you mentioned Walter Nolan, Josh Sweat was everywhere. There's a lot of guys making plays last night. What can that do for the defense going forward now?
Man, Big Calais made some plays last night, getting 2 sacks. So like you said, look, the defense has been playing well all year. It just came down to finishing ball games, and that was due to both sides of the ball. Offense was playing well, for the most part, putting points on the board, and putting pressure on the opposing teams. It seemed like we had a problem finishing out ball games, and you can just tell the point of emphasis coming out of this bye week. The guys just seemed they looked fresh. They looked extreme focus, and when it got to the fourth quarter, it felt like it was slipping away a little bit when Dallas started, put together a couple of drives and started moving the ball up and down the field. But those guys, Calais said, I heard he had an interview with someone. He was on the bus, but it was like the guys looked themselves in the hold on and said, "Man, it's time to lock back in and close this game out." And that's what the guys did.
Yeah, as you looked at the secondary and watched the secondary last night for the Arizona Cardinals, who caught your eye other than Buda Baker? Who caught your eye?
I thought Will played extremely well.
Will Johnson,
coverage. Yeah, Will Johnson. I thought he tackled very well. What I love about Will, just it seemed like the stage is not too big for him, man. He plays with a ton of confidence, a ton of swagger. And as a defense, if you want to be good in this league, you have to play with a ton of confidence and a ton of swagger and have that belief in yourself, to go out there and perform the way that you will want to be remembered in this game. And Will is having a great start to his career right now. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a household name here in the years to come.
Talking to Patrick Peterson, Patrick, you've been on the other side of the big special teams plays where you're taking a kick back for a touchdown. I think, 4 times your rookie year? Last night, it wasn't a kick return, but that block punt for a touchdown that got Dallas back in the game. How difficult is that for a team to respond? Like, how much of a momentum swing is that in the middle of a game like that?
It can be a big momentum swing, but the way the offense was rolling, and I felt like the Dallas defense couldn't do nothing with us. At the end at the first half, we were 7-9 on third downs, 2 for 2 in the red zone. And, I just felt like the offense had it rolling and Dallas defense had no answer. So that could have been a momentum shifter. But at the end of the day, the offense just came back out, kept their head down, and I think we got a field goal out of that next drive, ensuing drive. But the thing I loved about it, it kept pressure on Dallas. It wasn't like we kept going out there and stalling out 3 and out or in a turnover here. They kept pressure on the Dallas team to force them to play flawless football.
Patrick, always great to talk to you, especially after a win.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy.
That's Patrick Peterson joining us right there on the Arizona Sports Line, as he does each and every Tuesday throughout the NFL season. He really has been, always great to talk to Patrick Peterson, but especially this season with some of these rookies and young players on defense making an impact the way like Will Johnson is, or the way Walter Nolan did certainly last night. Nice to get Garrett Williams back in that secondary too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that it's a total coincidence the Cardinals are 3-0 this season when they have Garrett Williams.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.